Good afternoon guys and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the MID Handicap series of Dave trying to get some new clubs. Today why Dave's got a big grin on his face is because we are testing wedges today. We are going to be looking at getting Dave a new set of wedges going into the new year for the new season.
And I'm smiling because I like new stuff.
And Dave likes new stuff. He hasn't had anything for a while, so he feels like it is time to spend some money. But before we start, next week is going to be the start. We're going to be talking through what Dave's setup is at the moment. We're going to try and fit him in with the first wedge, which is going to be what we're going to go after his pitching wedge. So we know he's got a strong pitching wedge, 43 degrees in his Apex DCBs, the deep cavity back irons, so we need to see what fits there. But today what we're going to talk about as Dave hits some shots here is different grinds and different bounces, because it's asked a lot. Obviously Dave asks this a lot and he says what is bounce, what is grind, and we're going to talk through that with the different wedges we've got here from Callaway. Again, we are using the Jaws Raw. We have got the fitting set here, so we have got all the different lot and the different bounces and grinds, and that's what we want to talk with today. So Dave's got a 48 degree there, it's got 10 degrees of bounce, which as we know is this angle here on the bottom of the club. So the way that obviously the club works down there is the bounce angle. So that's where we can then open that club face, the way it'll sit to the ground then to be able to play different shots. You'll then see on the bottom of the club there is the S, and again all different companies, all different manufacturers have different ones. So I know with Titleist they have an F grind as well, they have an M grind. It's very strange that it's not uniform, it's different ways that they have it. It would probably be easier for you to understand if they did have it uniform. So the S grind here for the Jaws Raw is the most popular, you will see on the website. This is designed for people who are going to play more square face shots, so you're not opening it up as much. It's also got a chamfered leading edge, which is again is going to help with interaction with the turf. You've got 10 degrees of bounce, so you're thinking, well, it's an S grind for square faces, but 10 degrees of bounce is quite a good amount of bounce. And again, it does give the variety to be able to open up this club face, so you have got a little bit of heel relief on this grind. So different grinds are going to have different, obviously, attributes, and this is for all different swings. So again, you'll see online it says it's good for all different swings. This is somebody with a moderate divot, so you're not too steep, you're not too shallow. We know from Dave's previous videos, and as he's clipped some shots here, he hasn't taken a divot. So Dave's very shallow, so this is a club that for Dave might not be great. It might have too much bounce on there for Dave. He might want something with a little bit less bounce because he doesn't make much interaction with the turf.
Don't know, I'll take that.
Although Dave will take that shot, it was a good shot. He didn't say which flag he was going for, but so that's the S grind there, guys. So it's versatile. You're going to have somebody who likes to play a lot of shots square. You can also open it. Again, it suits the player who has a moderate divot, they say. So if you're very steep, again, this might not be great for you because it might dig in too much. You might catch some shots too heavy. You're not going to get the distance you want. If you're too shallow, there might be too much bounce on there. So for Dave there, 10 degrees of bounce, it might have a little bit too much. So you might want to go to something like an 8 degree bounce, which is only 2 degrees, but that might help Dave get more consistent contact.
You see, you thought S grind would have been sand, but apparently, as you said, it's standard.
Yeah, so again, we've got here in the bag here, we've got the S grind, we've got the W grind, we've got the Z grind, and we've also got the X grind. So we'll talk through those shortly. There's 4 different grinds, and we're going to get Dave to hit different shots over his fitting, and you'll see how they interact differently with the turf. So different grinds and different soles are going to have a different interaction through thicker grass, and that's where you need to test when you're doing a wedge fitting. So next up, guys, we have the W grind. It is in the old faithful, the old 60.
Get in there.
Not the best club that we've got in there, but the W grind, it's the widest sole that Callaway do, so it is to help people, it is for forgiveness, it is for people who have deep divots. So if you're somebody who's very steep, you know you take big divots, you know you're hitting the ground quite firm, this is to help you. So the wider sole there is going to give you more relief through the turf. So obviously through the turf, it's not going to dig as much, it's going to get that working through the grass instead of down. So it's going to help you with your trajectory, it's going to help you with your contact, it's going to help you with your distance, and also it's going to get you in the good books with the greenkeeper because you're not taking as big a divots. This is Dave's the worst nightmare, as we can see, which is great because it is a 60 degree, so that works for me, but it is also a lot of bounce, 12 degrees of bounce on there. It's a wide sole, and that's all things that are basically the opposite of what we want for Dave. Dave's very shallow, the bounce is not going to make it consistent. You can see there Dave's caught the ground a little bit before, and the bounce has done exactly what it's supposed to do there. It's made Dave get contact, but he's fearing because of that large sole and a lot of bounce.
I hate it.
And he hates it. And this is what we're going to show you guys. So when we get down to if Dave's going to have a 58, a 60 potentially in his setup, we're going to get that into the rough. Again, most mid-handicappers and myself, we're going to miss the green, we're going to be in the rough, and we have to see how it reacts through the turf, not just off a nice lie like this. It's going to be very hard for Dave off this lie. This, if you're playing links golf, will be a terrible grind potentially for you to have, unless you're exceptionally steep on the ball. So let's have a look at the next one. A good shot there from Dave, but too reasonable, too bad, not a consistent wedge. So next up, guys, is the 58 degree, 12 degrees of bounce, and this is X grind. So same bounce as the previous grind. So the previous grind was the W grind, but the big difference here is the sole width. So if I put those two up to the camera, we can see it's now got a much narrower sole on the X grind, and this is for shot makers, so that's what it says anyway on the tin. So definitely not Dave, although we don't know. So again, X grind, this one's got a narrower sole. This is for somebody still with a steep angle of attack, and that's why it's got a lot of bounce. So we're still going to get some relief through the turf, but you can open this up. It's got a little bit of heel and toe relief, so you can play some shots. Dave's a shot maker. So again, another grind that's a little bit different. It's got a narrower sole. If you like to open it up, like you say, it's got the heel and toe relief, but if you pick them out, you wouldn't necessarily notice straight away. You'd see the 12 degrees of bounce, but this one is a lot more versatile. You can open it up, you can get it up onto the toe, you can get it off with the heel off the ground, you can get it nice and low, and straight away there for Dave, much easier to hit with the narrower sole than it was with the big sole, the width on the W grind. So straight away, Dave's thinking he's a shot maker.
There's no doubt about it.
But not potentially. So we've got one more grind, guys, so we're going to go to the final grind, which is the Z grind, which we also have here. So I'll bring this one up now. Straight away, if we look at the sole, obviously it does look a little bit wider than the previous one. Again, we've got 8 degrees of bounce here with the Z grind. So this one, again, a little bit less bounce. This is for people, as it says on the tin, which is what I'm reading to you off Callaway's website. It's for shot makers who like to open it up. But with the less bounce, this nicely fits for Dave. So this is something where Dave now should feel a little bit more comfortable. We will see, because it is down.
I don't feel comfortable about the idea of opening it up, because I'll...
No, Dave doesn't feel comfortable in
it all the way through to...
Yeah, he doesn't feel comfortable in opening it up, but this one can be opened up. It's got less bounce. This is for people with a shallow angle of attack. Again, if you play links golf and you're nice and shallow and you're clipping it off the top, this would be a grind for you. Straight away there for Dave, he's lost his shot making skills, so we can't say that was the wedge, unfortunately.
Oh, no. Is it ever the wedge?
Well, that is a very good question. Is it ever the wedge? Nice. Oh. Very good shot. So that's an introduction, guys. We're going to go through this. We're going to talk about Dave's setup. We're going to talk about which wedges Dave is going to end up with in the next 4 weeks. Just an insight there into bounce and grind. It is, obviously, we are asked a lot about that bounce and grind. You want to be looking, when it comes to grind, it's going to be what the sole is doing. So has it got a wide sole? Is it narrow? What kind of bounce has it got? What are obviously the things that it's going to offer to you? Has it got heel and toe relief? You're instantly thinking there's a lot of things to take into account, and you're correct. And that's the thing where you need to get fitted for your wedges. Just buying them off your shelf and saying, oh, I think I take big divots, so I'll get the biggest sole.
Didn't have a clue what grind was, mate.
No, and then you get onto your golf course and you've not got the right grind for your golf course. It's not going to help you. So go and get a fitting, test them out. The best way to potentially do it is what we're going to do with Dave. We're going to give Dave a couple of wedges, blind testing, just give them and let him hit a couple of shots out of the rough and start to see which has the best interaction, which one he feels more comfortable with, which one looks which one at the ball looks the best. And that's going to give Dave a little bit of confidence, so the shot maker is back. So guys, we're going to go into that fitting now. So first of all, we're going to be looking at what kind of wedge we're going to get straight after his pitching wedge. We know his pitching wedge is 43 degrees, guys. So we're going to get some numbers, we're going to talk through, and we're going to test a couple of wedges out. So guys, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully that's helped you, and we'll see you again next week.
See you soon.